Yeah, so last week I grabbed one of these Nintendo 64s to upgrade with Ultra HDMI, and just as kind of a last second thing, set my phone up on top of the workbench to live stream on Facebook. And everything went well with the work, but the live stream, you just couldn't really see what I was doing, and the camera was focused on my hot air station, and had to share some follow-up pictures like this. But I went ahead and made a follow-up video, which I've shared here. And so I thought, why not go back and share the original video, even if it's kind of hard to see. Alright, just decided to start streaming this. About to install Ultra HDMI. I guess I won't need this wire. My brother's cutting the hole in the case, but this is the board here. Usually has flux underneath the cartridge connector from manufacturing, I guess. But first thing I'm going to do is remove the original LED. Got my iron set kind of hot for this because there's a ground plane there. A lot of LEDs. Alright. Get a little bit of desolder braid and a little bit of flux. Got about twice as much as I normally would. So I'm just going to get a lot of heat into that ground plane first before I put on the desolder braid, because that's the hard to clear one. Don't have my fume extractor running like I normally would, since it would interfere with the video. Not that what I have to say is oh so important. Alright, that's good enough for that one. The other side I can punch right through. Alright, let's see, get a little bit of isopropyl. And I put on an IGR wire for the N-Gamer set, part of Ultra HDMI. First I will tin. Clean my iron. Tin here. Add a little bit there. And I'll get a little bit more flux on here so that I won't have to add fresh solder. This is the underside of the reset switch, and my thumb was touching, well, right above that little metal spot, and you can burn yourself if you're not careful there. Alright, oops, moved too soon. Okay, there we go. Usually I'm a bit straighter than that. Alright, LED time. Blue for this one. Yeah, I do have these prepared in advance. Because I only cleared one hole, I will have to apply heat to the other while pushing up. There we go. Now add some fresh solder. Looks gross. Some isopropyl on there. Looks a bit better. Alright, other side. Actually, one more thing. Put a little flux on the back of the LED and tin that so that, oops, it fits my little single pin header a little bit better. Basically just thickening up the leads. If I do that before soldering in the socket, then it will melt down into the socket, and sorry, I'm trying not to get my head in the way of this, and it's making it hard for me to do it. But it'll melt down into the socket, and then there's no point to socketing it. And the only reason why I socket these really is because people change their minds a lot after I send pictures, and they want a different color. Or sometimes they can't decide at all, and I send multiple colors and let them put it in. So just helps out with that. Alright. And since you can't remove the bottom connector for the 64DD, I just level it off using an old spent desoldering braid container. So now time to clean parts I'll be working with. And I always like to get a fresh cotton swab right before, right across the RCP here, which is the GPU. And this one still has a little bit of a isopropyl on it. And I don't want to soak around these pins, but I still like to clean it up just because it sticks all kinds of gunk in it and stuff that falls down through the cartridge slot. So I go ahead and loosen it up a bit with one of my used swabs. Obviously not necessary. Most people don't even bother removing the cartridge slot. In fact, if you do, you want to be careful, because if you don't lift it up straight up, the parts that go into these two holes will crack. Well, they'll crack the wings that come off of the side of the cartridge port. I mean, it's super easy to remove without doing it. You just have to know to lift it evenly. There we go. Actually, this might be a little bit better. I don't think I've cleaned it in a little while. Yeah, I know this isn't part of the UltraHDMI installation, but it just bugs me to see all that flux in there. Hopefully I'm not washing it down those pins and having it dry up on the inside contacts where the cartridge connector actually connects to. Alright, that should be good enough for now. So, time for one of the flex cables. Let's see here. Yeah, when you see that, it's a bad cable. I remember spotting what was wrong with this one. Oh yeah, it is, you probably can't tell on camera, but the end of this, is, several of the traces are shortened. Still might work though. I found out what was wrong with this other bad one too. It was marked bad, but I could see a tiny little spot right here on the furthest trace, which is the one for reading your controller. And it even has an alternate point right there, but both points, primary and alternate, are past that break. But since it's the very first pin here, it'd be the easiest one to jumper straight to the UltraHDMI board, or maybe even to just like use sandpaper or a fiberglass pin to bridge that, to wear down, I guess, the mylar, and then bridge that trace and repair the cable. And the cables are valuable enough that I'll probably try to salvage that. Let's see. Let's go ahead and get one of the good ones out of here. Let's see. These seem to already have the small pieces of plastic that would run through the two power lines already removed. But if they aren't removed, you can't just remove it as remove the cable from the backing as sloppily as I just did. You might tear the cable. And, let's see. Get my flux out here again. I like to pre-tin these parts. Like my iron is auto turned off. So let me turn that back on so it'll get hot again. Almost out of the solder. Let's see. Get the flux on my hands now. There it goes. Alright, so all those are pre-tinned. I have my iron set kind of extra hot right now because these are also problematic sometimes, but not when it's extra hot. Alright, so now I'm turning it back down. I was at 380 Celsius, now I'm at 330. And I don't want to go straight to the RCP until it's had the chance to cool down a bit, but I will go ahead and get a little bit on that leg. There we go. And this is a MG Chemicals 835P rosin flux pen, which is the one that Marshall H., the creator of the UltraHDMI, suggests that we use. He says not to use no clean flux because even though it's no clean, if it's not activated, many of them can still be corrosive and it gets sucked right underneath the chip. Like I've removed them with this hot air gun here before and found that, yeah, it's all under the chip. And I guess it could slowly corrode away and eat at the traces that are underneath it, and you can't really easily flush it out with alcohol or isopropyl just because it's sandwiched under there really good. Alright, let's see, need my cable out. Here we go again, target temperature 330, and I don't know if that's on camera, but I usually drop the lid into something like this so that when I don't have a free hand, I can still get it recapped. So start at pin 6, which is just past a little dot on here that you won't be able to see yet. And there we go. Now, being so low on this, now I can't bend it and have it stay in position. Alright, clean off my iron tip. Now I have a cat bugging me down here. I put just the tiniest little bit on the tip here. Let me start over. Yeah, tiny bit. And looks like I am still in alignment there. Sorry, I hope my head's not blocking this. I just tack it at a few places along the way here. I usually target the ground pins, which are the ones that you see go straight to the other side of the flex cable, the FFC. Vias, then go back here. Alright, and this is not a wedge tip. I have a wedge tip, but I prefer to use this tiny well tip for this, because it lets me spread around the tiniest bit of solder between them all. And see, I don't know how to do this without getting in your way, so you might just have to tolerate me for a second. Alright. And it's not going to look pretty at first, but I'll get there. I think there was one that looked like it could use a little more, but yeah, that was it. Alright, clean that off again. Actually, yeah, I've got more solder to do. Let's wait on that. I'll crank the heat back up. And while that's going back up, I'll solder the one that doesn't need that much heat. Hopefully before it gets to be so hot that big problem. Alright, got it. Now, should be getting there. Yeah, a lot of people, they solder that before folding the cable, but it's best to fold the cable first so that it's going the way it will be, so it's routed the way it will be when you close it all up. Alright, so I'm going to melt the solder first. And since I already have flux, oh wait, no, I don't have flux on the tip of that. Let's see. Yeah, I usually do it using a lid, but my lid it won't reach anymore. I'll just do it with this. So heat up that solder. Go, and just to make sure it looks nice, that slid a bit. There we go, perfect. Good enough. All right, now it's time to clean. Fresh one. All right, and let me get the microscope out. Just to show you guys. Yeah, cheap microscope. And get it lined up here. I don't know how well this is going to show on your end. Actually, I can't get light on that side. Maybe I can. Let's see. Not exactly a flashlight, but yeah. Got plenty of solder, no bridges. Looks great. It's lined up properly. Oops, taking pictures accidentally. Oh yeah, by the way, perfect use for a Surface RT tablet. It's just as a USB microscope. There's actually still a pain to get the USB camera drivers installed, but it does work. I'm actually stuck with 2 of these old Surface RTs. And all right, I think that's it. I won't really be able to test it here. The main reason why I do my IGR wires this way is because I put a header on the UltraHDMI board here. And that way it still remains disconnectable. So you can disconnect the flat flex cable here and disconnect the IGR header. I would route it up here and around. It leaves just enough room for everything to sit into the N64 correctly. And of course you have this cable will fold up here. I don't know why I can't show that on camera before I turn off the stream, so let's go ahead and do that. All right. So yeah, it's got little notches on the side, and that's what you would fold between to get your angles. This would... All right. Open up the latch. The shiny side goes towards the board. Close the latch from both sides simultaneously if you can. All right, looks good. Then put it on there. It will sit right like that inside of the N64. This will come out from underneath the EMI RF shielding, and you don't have to cut or bend anything like you do with a RGB, one of the RGB restore kits. And this just works. I like how elegant it is. Fast to install. Well, I mean, cutting the hole takes a while. Probably takes longer than this if you want to do it clean. And but yeah, that's it. That's all there is to it. At least the hard part. Now, how do I stop this?